Tag F3 Manual Calibration. This diagram shows the transmission characteristics of gas and petrol injectors. This red line shows the dependence of the amount of gas on the amount of petrol. This tag also shows the information about lambda sensor, the differential pressure, manifold pressure, and gas temperature. You can also see the information about duration of open condition of petrol and gas injectors in milliseconds, as well as the engine revolutions per minute. On this side, you can see the actual meanings of all the points of the diagram. The information about the petrol injectors is highlighted with yellow color on the axis X of the diagram, while the gas injectors data is shown on the axis Y of the diagram and is highlighted with green color. You can also see the control buttons, the switching on of the map mode, data transmission into controller and receiving the data from controller, saving the data in a file on your computer and loading the data from the file on your computer, as well as setting the default parameters. It is possible to edit the diagram whether by using the mouse or the keyboard buttons. Let's first pay our attention to the mouse editing. If you set the cursor over the point on the diagram, the cursor changes its shape and shows the possible directions of moving the point. It also indicates the possible field of movement. In this case, it is possible to move the point up, down, to the left and to the right. In order to move the point, you have to place the cursor over it, click and hold the left mouse button and drag the point to the wanted position. When you release the mouse button, the dot is set on this place of the chart. All the points of the diagram have their own numeration. The 0 point, the first point, the second point, the third point, the fourth point, and the fifth point. By activating each of the buttons, for example the third one, you can see its coordinate highlighted in this table. In order to transmit this data into controller, it is enough to press the Transmit button. You can also use the keyboard buttons in order to edit the diagram. Each digit button on your keyboard corresponds to a number of the point of the diagram. The 0 point, the first point, the second point, and so on. By selecting the wanted point of your diagram, using the digit buttons, for example the fourth one, use the arrow keys to drag it up and down, to the left and to the right. In order to deactivate the point, you can use Escape button or the digit button on your keyboard with the corresponding number, in this case button 4. The control of silent points is also executed in two modes, through the keyboard or the mouse. In order to mark the silent point with your mouse, you must click over the point with the right mouse button. The point is highlighted in black. Now you can change the position of the diagram regarding this button in the following way. You can cancel the silent point by clicking the left mouse button over this point. It is possible to do the same using the keyboard buttons. Let's use the third point. Press P button and while still holding it, press button 3. Now the silent point is marked. To cancel it, press and hold O button and press 3. Now let's go back to default settings. While transmitting the data, pay attention to the current mode of the engine. If the engine is switched to petrol, before pressing Transmit button, take a look at this window. After pressing Transmit button, this window shows you that the data is transmitted and after a short while saved into memory controller. If the engine runs on gas and engine revolutions per minute exceed 1500, the data transmission is possible, but the data will not be saved into the memory of the controller, even though it comes into force. Let's press Transmit button. The data is transmitted but not saved. This window shows that we must reduce the number of revolutions in order to save the data. Right now we will reduce the revolutions and the data is saved. Right now let's switch to map mode. In order to do that, we must press the map button. The diagram has changed a little. Now you can see the pressure in bars on y-axis. A new panel of point control has also appeared. There are separate buttons for deleting petrol and gas buttons. The top layer function is created in order to show the wanted points in case of overlapping of the points on the diagram. These points are automatically saved in the controller memory only if the map option is on in the configuration panel.